Hello, lover. Welcome to the Alison Show. I am so very excited that you're here. Why, you ask? Thank you for asking. Because I am obsessed with you knowing your value, your gifts, your purpose, and how to use them in this world. Why? I love when we get to show up as our full, expansive, glorious selves and create. And if you clicked on this episode, or if you're new to the Alison Show, I want to say hello, thank you, welcome, we're going to have a good time. Or maybe you clicked on it because the title is You Need More Magic. Normally, I wouldn't do a command and a title because if you give me a command and a title, I'm going to say, no, I don't. You don't know me. You don't know what I need. So what I know about you is if you are listening to this, you either one, had to overcome that, or two, you're a better person than me, or three, maybe you feel that way. But there's something in you, there's that feeling, whether it's anxiety, overwhelm, or honestly just kind of like a numb meh. The idea of a little more magic sounds really good to you. So what I'm going to do in this episode is, if you are listening, I created some poster boards. I love working with poster boards. They keep me on track. I have poster boards on the YouTubes, but if you are listening audio, you're going to be able to follow along. What we're going to cover today is why you need more magic. Why would I declare something like that? Why would I be so bold as to give you a command? Number one. Number two, I'm going to talk about what I'm like calling magic. Like, do I really mean like abracadabra, hocus pocus magic? Maybe, let's see, right? What am I referring to when I say magic? And then I'm going to share some steps with you on how to bring more magic into your life after you decide you want that magic in your life. So before we get into any of the magic and what you need it for and what you're going to do with it, I want to talk to you about something called the Eureka Principle. And yes, Eureka, a great drag queen. Also, Eureka, I found it, right? A lot of the ideas that I'm going to be sharing today are parts of the book called Beyond Anxiety by Marth Beck. I've been loving that book, so I want to shout out that book. I'll drop a link to it for you guys. I've really been enjoying it. And she talks about the Eureka Principle in her book, and two things are required. Two things are required for you to go from I'm completely stuck, I don't know what it is, and Eureka, I found it. And those two circumstances are, number one, you need to have exhausted all your resources. Nothing is working. You have no more resources. You're hit up against a wall. You've exhausted everything you know how to do. And number two, you're in a state of dire need. Something awful has happened, something tragic. And while I do not wish for any of those things for you, I think that we can all look at that situation and find ourselves somewhere in there. I want you to think about a place in your life where a little bit of magic, a little bit of Eureka, I found it, would be worth getting a little silly or uncomfortable or trying a new idea for. Like, what would be worth it for you? Is it a relationship that you just can't seem to shift? Is it letting go of a habit that you know doesn't align with like the person you want to be, but it's just really hard to let go? Is it maybe just wanting to feel a little bit of spark, a little excitement, a little motivation? So I want you to think about a place in your life or an emotion, a feeling, just something you want a little bit of, and you got to really want it. You got to want it to the point that you feel like you've tried everything, right? You've thrown all your resources at it, and maybe it starts to bring up some challenging, difficult emotions because it is, triggering. It is exhausting. You have run the gamut with this, okay? So think about that for your life. Honestly, just straight facts. That is how I have felt about this podcast. And I'm a shifting, I'm a wiggling, and I'm like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? Is this fun? And when I heard that Eureka Principle and those two things are required, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in such a good place. And it brought me a sense of relief because I was like, I am perfectly primed for magic, for miracles, for invention, for innovation. And so, even right there, knowing that information gave me an awesome shift in my mindset. And I am all about you being able to connect to the mindset that has you knowing your power, your gifts, and why we need you so much in this world. And that's why you need more magic. But why do you need more magic? Okay, I talked about that Eureka Principle, which delightful, but also, oh gosh, are you titillated? I'm going to do a reveal here. Anxiety is contagious. Why do you need more magic? Because I need more magic. Let's talk about me. It's the Alison Show. You need more magic because anxiety is contagious. Now, I want you to think about this. You're with a friend or a partner, and they are in one of those moods. I'm just basically describing me and my husband Eric's relationship right now. Like every noise he or the kid makes is like shooting me off, a clang, and I'm like, what? Who's making those noises, right? When I'm in that anxious, really dysregulated nervous system state, it affects everybody around me. And the other day I was driving to my kids' band concert, and this man, I would have loved to go at it with him in the parking lot, but I didn't have an opportunity to. He was tailgating car after car, then tailgating me, then swerved around me, cut me off. And I knew where he was going is he was late for the band concert that I was going to. So I'm not saying I'm better than this guy or that I haven't been this guy, but the question I wanted to ask this guy was, what is happening in your life, sir, that has you thinking that getting to this concert is more important than the safety of actual like children or people or humans? That is the question I want. I said I wanted to go at it with him in the parking lot. I legit wanted to have like a counseling session. Like, sir, something is not okay, right? And I use a driving example because we all can feel that, and it's very real. When a driver or the driver you're in the car with has that anxious energy, you start to pick it up. We're going to get into the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. But right now, I want you to understand that the left side of the brain deals with logic, information, facts, figures. It's linear. It can project into the future. And we are currently living in a world that is this is the philosophy and doctrine of Alison, is over dependent on the left side of the brain. It is the masculine. It is the way that structure, deadlines, a 12 calendar year, everything has to be upward growth. That is the way we are operating in this country. And what happens in the left side of the brain is there's anxiety spirals. In my book, You're Already Awesome, I have sections at the end of many chapters that go, prevent the spiral. And what I am talking about are the spirals, the future tripping that we do in our brain. But guess what? The right side of the brain is creativity, is intuition, and that cannot project into the future. When you move into the right side of your brain, it cannot project into the future. You cannot fall into anxiety. So anxiety is contagious. Like never before, we have dysregulated nervous systems, autoimmune disorders, so many things tied to anxiety. And when we bring peace, a little more magic into our lives, it is also contagious. I am not suggesting that magic is going to cure your anxiety disorder. I am not suggesting that magic is going to cure the world. Actually, I am suggesting that. However, it is in tandem. I'm medicated. I take medications for my anxiety. I do cognitive behavioral therapy. I do internal family systems. I do EMDR. I do all the things. Not one thing has done more for me than allowing myself to connect to my creativity, my artistry, and the fun intuition that happens in the right side of the brain. Anxiety is contagious. We are all feeling it. If you want to be part of the solution, you get to treat yourself to a little more magic. Okay, another reason why I pretty much covered it. This isn't working. What we're doing right now, how we're living in this society, it's not working. And what is so interesting to me is that when I am coaching people and working with people, 99% of the time, they will make themselves the problem, that they need to work harder, try harder, be more, do more, the problem. Doesn't matter if they're coming to me to talk about business, their marriage, their religion, their faith. Does not matter what we're talking about. The ideas that we come up with for improvement are often and usually and always on that left side of the brain, where we assign tasks, deadlines. I better do this. I better do that. Okay, I can see this domino falling, that domino falling. It's not working, is it? It's not working. What? Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because people are confused by me. People act like I'm so zany and crazy. And I'm over here like, but like, is everybody okay who is behaving in this like patterned way? See, what we've done is we've created an echo chamber for the masculine, for the patriarchal, and I don't mean that in any extreme way. I mean in the what is stereotypical, linear, left side of the brain masculine, we're in an echo chamber. So my cousin, a doll, an artist, texted me this morning. She's been telling me she's going to do this art camp, and she texted me today and she said, I sold 3 tickets, for the art camp. Nobody's going to like it. What if they don't do this? What if I don't provide value? What if their art isn't good, right? She had all of these what ifs. And because I was preparing for this episode, I texted her back. This is what you get for texting me. I texted her back and said, hey, you're in the left side of the brain. Let's hop on over to the right side of the brain where we can find a new solution, or we can chill. Right? We can move into the fun, into the curiosity, into the creativity, right? Right now, all this future tripping and what if, it's not going to do anything. She's a teacher. She works at high school. She works all week long. It's Saturday. I said, you sit down with some art supplies and just zone out. And then she just sent me the most beautiful picture of some flowers that she had painted from her garden. And basically, I'm changing the world. Is that what I'm doing? I don't know. I'm trying. But this is not working. In the holistic hippy dippy woo woo, they very often talk about dis-ease, disease. You got it? You get it? But it's so true. Dis-ease is disease. This anxiety that we're feeling in the body, the dysregulated nervous systems, the collapse of society. I mean, people losing faith in the government, people losing faith in religion, people losing faith in all of their systems. We're in a massive deconstruction. Gospel of Alison. This is how I'm seeing it. I'm just telling you what I think. And really what I think is going to help. And I've sat back. I have sat my cute giant booty back for a couple of years to observe, because I was sick and I was down and I was out and I was so close to not wanting to stay on this earth, on this planet. And it is magic. And what I'm going to describe as magic that brought me back and has kept me here and continues to keep me here. And the third reason we need more magic is because it's fun, okay? It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. Magic is fun. So what is magic? I love the concept of alchemy. Alchemy is that we take like a base metal and we can transmute it or transform it into gold. Often people thought that was the elixir of life. I like this definition of magic, that magic is anything that happens that the left side of the brain can't explain. So there's this show called The Magic Prank Show, and I think the guy's named Justin Willman. And he's doing like a revenge series right now. My kids had it on, and he was showing this trick that he did where he basically convinced people they were invisible. So this is a really good example of the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain, magic tricks. Like, that is what magic tricks are, right? They're misdirecting that left linear side of the brain, and then it pops up and goes, what? Huh? Well, we can't make sense of that. And then that eureka, right? The way that you would be able to make sense of it is in that creative, like, In a movie, they call it suspension of disbelief. And that's what the right side of the brain can do. It can believe in magic. It can have hope. It can create. It can let go of the constraints of physical linear form timelines so that it can play in a space of openness and curiosity. We think that magic and make-believe, we think that is for children. We think it's for the naive. But in reality, it's when part of our brain can't understand what's going on. And so we assume it's magic. We assume it was something created from something else and turned into another thing. So when I'm talking about magic, that's what I mean. I mean, it's something tangible and logical and linear that the brain can't quite comprehend. To me, it involves faith. It involves miracles. I'm a huge fan of angels. I will do a whole episode on angels. But even if you have a hard time with any of those concepts, I want you to start looking into quantum physics, because quantum physics will blow your friggin' mind, talking about energy and particles and matter and how little of our brain we use. So you need more magic. Why do we need more magic? Because we're all an anxious mess. This is not working. There is a lot of dis-ease and it's fun. So how are we going to get that magic in our lives? Remember at the beginning of the episode when I asked you to hold an idea, something that you feel motivated, something that is tangible, something that has you in that spot that it feels like there's no resources and no solutions left. You got it? Because you listen to these I hope you listen to the podcast and I hope you do these things, but I am all about let's get you shifting your mindset. Let's get you feeling better immediately. Let's give you tools to access right this minute. I don't want to waste your time. Let's put it in an application right now. So when you hold that idea, you're opening up the right side of the brain. You're opening up that creativity to invite you into new ideas. So you need more magic. Why? We went over that. You need more magic. How are we going to do it? Free your mind. That is, I pretty well covered how we're going to do it. We're going to move from being so obsessed with the linear and return on investment and facts and spreadsheets and all the things I've never been able to comprehend and understand. And we're going to move on over to Crazy Town. We're going to move on over to Alison's side of the brain, the right side of the brain. I will say that I definitely take things to extremes. Shocking, right? And when I started playing with a lot of new concepts and working on healing my nervous system, my body shut down a few years ago, I definitely went all the way to the extreme of magic and intuition, or what we would call feminine energy. And I was obsessed with allowing this feminine energy and seeing all the places that shaming myself and guilting myself and being harsh on myself were causing me physical, mental, and emotional harm, and looking for new ways to live, to exist. So if I can't be happy unless my bank account is full, the podcast is growing, my kids are happy with me, my husband's into me, and I have good friends that I love, if I can't be happy without all of those circumstances, I'm screwed. And that is a trap I fell into for years. And I find myself falling back into those habits. And that's why I have to continuously free my mind. How do I find more magic every day? These are practices that I use to save my life. These are practices I use every single day to bring me back to peace, bring me back to calm. I have to invite myself into a headspace that is expansive. I have to invite myself out of a limited headspace into a limitless headspace. So a really tangible way to free your mind is to ask yourself if you are engaging in scarcity or abundance thought patterns. It will never be enough. They will never like it. So my sweet cousin who was freaking out about her art camp, which I'll drop a link to if you're here in Provo, Utah, because she is fantastic, when she was freaking out about her art camp, notice she was projecting all of those things that suggest that she is not enough or it will not be enough. So if you do want to invite yourself into the right side of the brain, if you do want to invite a little more intuition, creativity, magic, curiosity, ask yourself, what can I do to free my mind? Can I invite myself out of scarcity thinking into abundance? Can I invite myself into a creative activity? Can I invite myself into a conversation or a book or a movie or something I wouldn't normally interact with and try it and see what happens? I love this for you. I love this for me. I love this for the world. Okay, you are magic. How you're going to get more of it in your life, I am obsessed with this concept. I think that I am a genius and I am obsessed is calm your beastie baby. So don't get it twisted. Is it Beastie Boys or Beanie Baby? Again, I want to give a huge thank you to Martha Beck. I love her book, Beyond Anxiety. I'm absolutely supporting it. She presents the idea that you cannot destroy anxiety. And remember how anxiety is contagious. We are all feeling it, dysregulated nervous systems, whether it is a generalized panic disorder, chemical, or maybe you're going through a period of it, right? Regardless of how it's showing up for you, it's very often showing up for a lot of us. Martha Beck talks about the creature inside of you and calming that creature. Mine is a raccoon. I'll share more later. But I have been thinking a lot about the shadow as well. Shadow work or the shadow, or in internal family systems, I think it would be like the cutoff parts of you, the outcasts, right? The ones that you alienate and the parts of you that you're like, you're not good here. You're not good here. You're too big, Alison. You're freaking huge. Your voice is loud. Your personality's huge. So you better keep that body not big, because if there is anything more, like there is nothing more horrible in this world than a big woman, right? That's the creature. That's the beastie that I'm talking about. Those parts, those cast off shadow parts, you don't even maybe know you think that because you deleted it, cut it, cast it over there. That part of me isn't there. That part of me that is huge and big, I don't even want to deal with it. She's not allowed to show up. And then anytime you start getting bold and joking and showing up in a way that is the way you even want to show up, you're going to feel all the shame. And it's because you cast out that part of you that is allowed to show up that way. And that's what I mean. You might not even know that you think this or that you're doing it. You made an agreement. You made a contract. I don't know how long ago with yourself that you're not allowed to show up that way. And when you do, it triggers this whole shame spiral. So how do we get out of that? Instead of trying to destroy anxiety, as Martha Beck phrases it, we need to calm it. So I'm just going to invite you right this minute into your body. How do you calm your beastie baby? It's the same way you would calm a fussy baby. I will interrupt thought patterns by verbally going shh, 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 shh. I don't really care if everybody thinks I'm insane. I'm still alive. I'm actively trying not to harm people, and I contribute to society. So if the way that I can do those things is by walking around, and when I have intrusive, repetitive thoughts that throw me into a dysregulated spiral, if I can interrupt them with a shh, 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 shh. And I've had people, my husband, my kids, what are you doing? And I'm just living my life, move along, right? I will start swaying. It's why we start shaking our leg, why we start tapping, all of those self-soothing tendencies. And when you think about wanting to calm a wild animal, you can't just come up to the raccoon who's like gnarling and that possum who's like about to bite your hand off and start trying to beat him. I mean, you can, but you're going to get a lot further if you try to calm the creature. And the reason I bring this up is because if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel calm, If you can't access any peace, it is very, very hard to feel creative and curious. And what replaces anxiety best is creativity. I am creativity's biggest fan. Creativity saves lives. Art saves lives. Like how my cousin is, before I was like, just go paint. I actually told her to paint first. And then I said, hey, art is subjective. They will make terrible art. You never promised good art. You promised tools. You're going to give tools. So I talked to the left side of her brain a little bit. I calmed it down. I used some rationale. I used some verbal, like, here's why this is going to be okay. And the reason I thought to do that is because when I said, hey, you're in the left side of your brain, move to the right, go do something. She's like, that side of my brain is telling me that I have papers to grade and work to do, and this is silly. And I said, that's great. Tell it that we're so thankful for its service, but we don't need it right now. We need it to sit over there. Why? Because it's not working. It's not working. How do we know it's not working? Because you're in that dis-ease. You're having the panicky feelings. Why are you having the panicky feelings? Because we are wired to look for danger and fear. And when we get tripped into it and triggered into it in our brains and in our bodies, it doesn't matter if the tiger is real or not. It feels real. And this is something I say to myself when I'm really, really spiraling. It's a very helpful tool. I'm going to offer it to you right now. And it is, the fear is real. The threat is not. This is such a powerful tool if somebody is having like an active anxiety attack or is actively panicking. Like when I've found people who are like in a corner rocking back and forth, and like, I'll jump in for triage because this has happened. These are the types of things I will say that help people jump back into a reality where they feel safe enough to be. And to me, that is magic, that we can do that we can shift our mind, and something that we did not think is possible is now possible. That is magic. So before, if you're like, this just isn't working, remember, you got to calm your beastie baby. And over in the next few weeks, I'm going to be putting out some principles of magic for everyday living where I jump into these concepts deeper and deeper. So if you have questions, if something isn't making sense, will you please, for the love of all that is holy, call the Girlfriend Therapy hotline, which the number will be in the show notes. Or you can shoot an email to heygirl@thealisonshow.com, podcast, thoughts, questions, shoot it on over. I want to hear what you have to say. So how you get more magic, you got to free your mind. Let's put that into an actionable tool for each one as we go. An actionable tool for free your mind is ask yourself, am I in the left side of the brain? Can I move to the right side of the brain? Maybe you want to free your mind by asking, am I in abundance or scarcity? Maybe you want to calm your mind or free your mind by asking, am I catastrophizing? Am I making this mean more? Like, what am I making this mean about me as a person? And then we want to calm that beastie baby. We want to calm the beastie baby. How can we calm the beastie baby? We can do those tips and tricks like you're calming any raging baby. The shh, shh, shh. That white noise, it reminds you of the womb. It reminds you of safety. It's why we fall asleep to white noise. The ocean, we just surrender to it. Shh, shh. Maybe you're doing some swaying, right? Whatever it is. Another great way to calm your beastie baby is physical movement. You can invite yourself to play with some rocks. I love picking my kids up from school because I love watching all of the kids walk to their car or walk to their bikes or walk home. I love picturing adults doing what the kids are doing. Swinging their backpacks, talking to themselves. I'm endlessly delighted by kids and the way they just let themselves move and be and play. And that's also what we're really trying to capture here. So the third way you're going to get more magic is you're going to get opulent. when I made my poster, I'm a terrible speller. Yes, I've written a book, but when I made my poster, I put 2 P's in opulent, and I decided to leave it because that extra P, you down with OPP? No, but I decided to leave it and just be like, yeah, get extra. Here is the tangible takeaway of what I mean by get opulent. I don't know what's going to feel opulent to you. And maybe you're going to feel like it's selfish. So I want to give you the word opulent and opulence to reframe selfishness. Because what your left side of the brain is going to do repeatedly is tell you this is a waste of time. This is nonsense. Get back to work. Just like my cousin who was like, I should just go grade papers. And the left side of the brain is going to hear that idea and be like, that's a great idea. That's what we should do. That sounds fantastic. And that's why we all are in this problem, because we're receiving feedback, overriding with logic, and not listening to our intuition. There is study after study, research after research that shows all the powers of intuition. It's a real thing. It's not just mumbo jumbo. I learned this from Oprah, so we'll see. But humans are the only mammal that actively override their intuition. So let's return to magic. Let's return to opulence. I want you to get opulent. How are you going to find more magic in your life? By getting opulent. How do you get opulent? Let yourself use the good stickers. I'm going to say it again. Use the good stickers. Let yourself use those markers. Let yourself use that nice paper that you bought. Let yourself crack into that beautiful notebook you were saving for just that one specific thing, right? Maybe it's busting out that something you bought that goes in your kitchen that you're going to make something with. Maybe you got a new knife and you haven't used it yet. You got to chop something new. Maybe you just we save these things. We save like pieces of our wardrobe, and we don't want to spend money on art supplies because we don't want to use the art supplies, or we don't want to go get dirty, or we don't want to mess it up, or why would I bead this necklace when there's laundry? And I've never been a parent in the way that I'm a parent right now. I've never been at home, lead parent, in charge of the schedule. I've never had this experience. Eric was more the lead parent, and it's been really different for me. And it's also been really enlightening because so many questions and feedback and things that people have said to me over the years are only now making sense. Because I do prioritize making a necklace over doing the dishes. Now, does this lead to other issues for me? Yeah. But I'm really good at this. I have always prioritized this. I'm better at being selfish than most women. It's one of the reasons I've been able to be successful in business, because I can listen to how I say I'm good at this. Listen to how many times I've told you I'm good at something or how funny I am. These are not typical feminine traits. I have a lot of that masculine in me, which is necessary to succeed in the world of business. And when I was, really in my boss babe, chasing moment, which all of us were, I realized I was really eschewing aspects of the feminine. But like I said, I was falling deep, deep, deep into that feminine and realized I can't get anything done. It's all chaos over here. I wanted to live in the magic, and I wanted to live in the chaos, and I wanted to live with the angels and the flowers and just never do anything linear again and just show up when I want. And it's hard for me to admit that you can't function in the world that way, when in reality, what we're actually doing is inviting creativity, curiosity, and abundance. I'm not saying spend yourself into debt. I'm saying instead of waiting for it to be less cringeworthy, instead of waiting till you have the perfect lighting, the perfect sound system to start your project or your business, instead of waiting till you have, everything perfectly laid out to have that difficult conversation, allow yourself to move into the emotional, non-tangible, metaphysical, non-linear place before you get all those other things done. So how do you get more opulent? You could, like me, allow yourself to make insanely large jewelry. But if you have been detached or not accessing your creativity for a while, that's going to feel like really overwhelming to just go from like, I'm not an artist. Alison told me I need to get opulent. Right? So let's just like, don't spend any money. Don't buy anything new. Allow yourself to walk around, to wander. Wander leads to wonder. Wander around and find something you're curious about, something that interests you. And if you cannot do that, you need to calm your beastie baby. And if you cannot calm your beastie baby, you need rest. And if you cannot get rest because you cannot calm your beastie baby, you need help. My sweet love, you need outside help. You cannot read a label from inside of the bottle. Whether it is a mental health professional, a practitioner, a trusted friend, if you cannot calm your system, your mind, your body to a point where you can allow creativity and curiosity, now you know your assignment. And I know that it's possible for you. I want it for you. I believe in you. And why do we need this? Because as Viktor Frankl said, for the world is in a bad state and will become worse still until each of us does our best. And then as Maya Angelou says, you do your best until you know better. And as Alison is about to say to you, look at me putting myself with Maya Angelou and Viktor Frankl. Woo! The grandeur of it all, right? As I'm going to say to you, you're doing better than you possibly could imagine. I have created new definitions of success that do not rely on outside results. The definitions of success that I adhere to all ask me to check on my values, check on my intention, and bring more compassion in, because curiosity brings in compassion. When I'm curious about why I'm screaming at my children, or I'm curious about why I want to go find that man and tackle him and tell him what a terrible driver he is, I'm able to, with compassion, see the shadow, the beastie babies, those aspects of myself that I don't like or I don't want to be there. And then I'm able to bring compassion and curiosity in and look at them and say, hey, do I want to keep this in my life, or do I want to work on maybe not having this in my life? Whether it's, a tendency to fly off into rage, or whether it's a habit that you don't want anymore, or you swear when you don't want to swear. I love swearing. I don't like swearing if I don't intend to swear, right? And so if there's anything like that, we think we need to bring force, we need to destroy, we need to cure. It's not working. It's not working. We need more magic. You need more magic. And I've got a series coming up on this podcast. It's all free. It's all fun. Principles of Magic for Everyday Living. Please ask me your questions about what I've talked about so that as I move into the new parts of the series, I am helpful and relevant. And I know that if you apply even one little inkling, thought, or suggestion that came into your mind as I was talking, that you will find more magic in your life. I want to thank you so much for being the type of person who's open to magic, who's open to miracles, who's open to shifting their mindset and tuning in to their body, their intuition, who's looking to make an impact, who wants to live a life on purpose, Thank you for being that type of person. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my lover and friend. Only you can be you, and we need you. We need every part of you. So let's go.